Right. If you are looking at your phone right now or your mobile device and you're thinking to yourself, hang on a second, it's a Saturday. What the hell is going on? Why is it saying that we're going live? Well, it's an incidental episode, and you really should have your notifications turned on for this kind of thing so you can catch these when we do them. These are, of course, these drop-in episodes, special ones that we do every once in a while, just so we can kind of accommodate guests that perhaps can't join us on the Sunday or can't do us midweek, and allows us to do a little bit of a special spotlight episode, which is really cool. As always, the Patreon supporters are wandering by on the screen right now. Thank you so much indeed to everyone who has donated. I know one or two people have actually also increased their Patreon bids or their support figure, because they've been very generous with their support, and I really do appreciate it. And as always, do like, support, subscribe, hit notifications on all of our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're going live on Twitch, which a notification has just come up on my phone, even though we have an audience of, I believe, a dog on a string. So hello, dog on a string. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Twitch. But everywhere else, do spread the word. Let everyone know where we are and what we're doing. And especially if you want to hit the notification bell, because it does let you know about these incidental episodes that we do. We have got ourselves a cracking guest. We're going to get into certainly the more recent stuff, but we can dive into as much of his back catalogue as you would like. This is Al Ewing, of course. Any questions? It's probably best to dive in on the YouTube chat, because they come through a little bit faster for some reason. But anywhere that you want to dive in, I've made the Facebook stream public, so those comments will be coming in as well. Anything you want to get into, ask Al. It's all about you guys, of course. So please do dive in and ask your question. And we'll do that after this. Hello there, and welcome along to Talking Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana, and usually each and every Sunday we're talking comics, Comic-Cons, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense that we get to enjoy at such shows. We're also doing the Wednesday shows as well while we're in lockdown, so we've got 2 more Wednesdays of those. We've got a special guest which we're going to be announcing on Monday. We're going to have all that confirmed for the Wednesday show, but do of course jump in with the social medias, because that's where all the updates will be for the upcoming episodes. Now, why we're doing the show, of course, on a Saturday is our incidental episode. It's our special ones where we manage to entice a guest on which perhaps isn't able to join us for the Sunday show or the midweek show. And when I spoke to our guest, he just turned around and said, I prefer to keep things to the weekend. Usually when I'm speaking to guests, it's more a case of they turn around and say, no, we like the weekend to ourselves. But no, Al was more than happy to sacrifice an hour or so on his Saturday. So I'd like to welcome Al Ewing to the show. Hello, Al. How are you doing, sir?
Hello. Not too bad. Yeah, no, I just I always sort of work during the week, so this is
you're old school. Work through the week, have the weekend to yourself. Fair enough.
Yeah, mostly, for the most part. I do a little bit of work at the weekend, but not much.
Fair enough. The 3 questions that I've been starting this run, season 8 of the shows, are number 1 is what is your brew to hand? I did a show with Cavan Scott in the middle of the week, and he was telling me about his various collection of teas, including the Yorkshire Tea digestive biscuit edition, which somebody bought me, I think, as a dare, and I've made myself a cup of this stuff. So that's what I'm having, which is tea which tastes like it's had a digestive dunked in it. It's easily the most bizarre thing I've ever tasted. So it's very, very weird. What is your brew to hand, sir?
Well, to hand, I mean, in the cupboard, I've got Yorkshire tea or coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. With me right now, I've got this jam jar full of, because we're out of real glasses. I've got this sort of jam jar full of water with a Barocca type thing in it.
Nice.
And
I have some of that.
Yeah, I try and drink more water, and I try and I'm trying to get more vitamins. So this is a nice little thing. But yeah, we've got
to look out for ourselves in 2020. That's the thing. It's
exactly.
It's very, very strange. I think one of my favorite was on Sunday last week when we had Scotty Young on. And he turned around and said, I know it's a cup of tea and that's what we were going to do, but it's in the middle of the day on a Sunday. And what I was going to do is get my friend's mug and just fill it with red wine and blag it. But we're staying nice and healthy on the show today, so that's great. Question number 2. Can you remember your first Comic-Con that you went to? Was it as a pro? Was it as a fan? Can you remember the first one that you stepped through the door?
Mostly, I mean, I can enough to hazard a guess. It would have been Bristol, possibly 2003 or 2002, and I would have gone after selling my first script to 2000 AD.
Oh wow!
And that was in 2002. But I would have started going to cons after that as a sort of a way of kind of meeting people and sort of
you're doing the whole networking thing.
Yeah, kind of. I was never any good at it, so I mean, very quickly I kind of ended up just going to cons just to go. But it would have been around 2002, 2003, probably 2003. Bristol. That was a great con. That kind of went through some ups and downs over the sort of the next few years, and then from there, I guess other cons around Britain. Like I remember there was one around Brighton, Birmingham. I guess most recently it's come down to Thought Bubble's been like the only British con I really go to. But aside from. There are some smaller ones like down south, like Oldham. I make time.
Well, I mean, that's the one I was going to say because I mean, the last two I saw you at was Oldham, and I think it was Not Another Comic-Con, which was the last two that I spotted you at.
No, I do a few British ones, I guess, but in terms of like the kind of, I don't really do the London ones anymore because I don't really like going down to Docklands. I can't navigate, all of that.
Is it just the scale, or
it's a bit?
I get confused between the two rooms.
Yeah, it's the. I mean, I went to a London one last year because Panini were like, "Can you come and do a signing?" And I was like, "Well, I can pop down on the day." And then while I was there, a friend of mine was sort of doing some cosplaying there. So I did my signing, and then we just went and had a drink and that was kind of a sort of interesting, fun thing when I wasn't tabling. So I might do that again, just sort of go and chill out.
Cool.
But I don't like you go on the tube and then you have the secret tube that you have to sort of go on like the DLR to kind of get to the venue, and it's like, oh no, I can never get my head around it. So yeah,
I think also with the way over the last couple of years, they've also, when they've closed a couple of the stops down, and you then have to negotiate what stop to get off. And thank you very much indeed for that, DLR. It helps loads. And the third question I've been asking is, when you go to conventions, obviously you get the chance to sit next to some of your peers and some of your idols, and some of those people that you grew up reading the stories of, and those people you read as a kid, perhaps. Any of those moments where the mouth's gone a little bit cotton-filled and the knees have gone a little bit wobbly? Any idol inspired moments?
There are a couple. I probably my very favorite one of those was I was at a con and ended up sort of in the green room with Marv Wolfman for about an hour or so, and we just like, it was just chilling out and chatting about video games of all things, and just sort of talking about the ones we like, moaning about aspects of other ones. I know Batman, like Arkham Knight, had just come out where they put the Batmobile in there, and that was not a fun mechanic, the Batmobile. I think they really wanted it. They really wanted it to be, so they sort of forced you to drive it. And it's like, yeah, but swinging is still the sort of Spider-Man type mechanic that they'd sort of put in there for the previous game. That's still the best way to travel. But like, the Batmobile is this iconic thing. So it's like, it's nice that it's there, but at the same time, it's kind of, you keep having to get in it. And it's like, it's not that great. It's not like I could go on about the Batmobile, but having done that for an hour with Marv Wolfman,
I would be happy to do that, if anything, because I just find it. I mean, obviously the designs are iconic and it's part of the iconography of the character, but it is one of the most bizarre concepts of, I can't believe that phrase was just about to come out of my mouth. It's one of the most bizarre concepts of a millionaire vigilante that dresses up as a bat. But I mean, just the whole idea of, I mean, what if he runs over a nail? Just the basics of owning a car. Well, good to go through red lights. Is he like an ambulance? What? I don't know. How does it work? But anyway, I mean, if you start breaking it down.
Yeah, I mean, there was that film, one of the Nolan films, I think the first one, Batman Begins, where like the Batmobile is like this giant tank, and it's just roaring through the streets, just sort of crushing civilians' cars and like smashing up houses. And I was like, okay, at what point are you more of a danger than the Scarecrow at this point? It's like, at what point do you cross the line into like being, more of a problem than the actual villains?
Yeah.
And I think in that car, it's not that long. It's not that fun.
And then, of course, in Dark Knight as well. Okay, let's turn it into the tumbler. Let's turn it into the bike. Let's blow up the actual tumbler. Then you've got yourself military grade equipment, which is you just blow the fire out and just strip mine it off. Okay. Let's leave it. Let's leave it there. Fair enough. I mean, like I said, the two cons that I remember seeing you at last was Oldham and Not Another Comic Con, and I do love how you support the smaller cons. I like. Yeah.
I was just going to say I like the little sort of family ones. I was going to say sort of the only kind of big con I do in the UK is the Bubble, but that's like,
it's pure comics. It's a
what I
slightly
mean
different
like
vibe.
that. Yeah, what I mean by that is sort of cons like Oldham, which are sort of local family events. I really enjoy doing those because you get to meet sort of A, it's all about the actual comics, and B, you kind of get to meet, you get to go to like a place and you get to, meet sort of local fans, and it's really good for them, and it's really nice to kind of whereas instead of, I mean, I do New York every year, and that's more about the city than the convention, although I do, if the organizers are watching this, I do enjoy the convention as well, but it is big. It's big, and it's like it's a sort of working weekend. It takes a lot out of you. Whereas like something like Oldham, it's just a pure pleasure to sort of go and just chill out at a table and sort of sell, you know, I sell my comps. I kind of like, and that's just so I'm not just, you know, sitting there like a lemon with nothing. I've done a couple of conventions like that, you know, through just like forgetting to keep a bunch of comps aside. And it's, you know, it's better to have something on the table.
Yeah. I mean, I always find it must be strange for a writer to go to a convention. I mean, obviously the panels are great because then it is about the breaking down of craft. It's about the story. You're talking about something. But when you're sat behind a table, I can imagine it's a slightly different mechanic than if you are an artist. If it's something that you are displaying your wares as an artist, as it were, and you can bring the sketches out and you can do that. It's very difficult to have someone come up and say, "Hi, write me a script. Write me a piece of dialogue." And
I think when there's quite often at cons, there's a point where people sort of find out that I do sketches. I went to one in Texas, and I think about like at some point it might have been on the first day, it might have been like on the second, but at some point somebody sort of jokingly asked for a sketch, and I did one, and I'm a sort of a fair to middling cartoonist when it comes to faces. I can do a very decent sketch of the Hulk, and you know, it's like obviously I'm not an artist. I don't have the sort of basic skills, you know, but I can cartoon, and I can cartoon a Hulk face, and people were like very pleased and suddenly I'm doing like a lot of sketches, and I'm doing like sketch covers, and so it's like once people know that you are happy to do something like that for them, they will ask for it. And obviously, you know, once we have the vaccine, and once which, you know, good news about recently, but once we're all sort of shut up with it and we can do cons again, then you know, if I happen to be behind the table again, then please come forward and ask for a sketch, because I'll happily do one.
When you say you're a half decent cartoonist, so we're talking Mad Magazine or a pretty good rendition. Where do you lie in your skill set?
I mean, like, I guess early Viz.
Nice.
You know, I'm not like I do. You know, I'm relatively decent. I'm sort of, I can draw a face. Thing is, I don't want to sort of spread the word that I'm a good artist, because then people will be asking me to like draw a bicycle or a horse or like human anatomy or any of the things that I can't really do. I'm kind of I'm better with just, you know, somebody's face. I do a decent Cyclops. I do a pretty good. I do a decent Hulk. I do a pretty good Batman. You know, in that triangle of superhero faces, you know, sure. I do a pretty decent. You know, make a pretty decent good. At one point, when I was doing Doctor Who, I learnt how to caricature Matt Smith. And I
mostly forehead, mostly chin.
Yeah, I've lost the knack. I know I gave him a sort of, and I did something with his nose. I can't remember what exactly, but like the set of the mouth, you know, just kind of learning. And I just taught myself to do that so I could do a little Matt Smith sketch on things. And I've lost the knack. If you asked me to draw Matt Smith now, I couldn't do it. But like, well,
you see, you know. This is what we lose in 2020 when you don't get conventions to practice at. So long as as long as the sketches are better than Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader, I think you'd be fine.
No, yeah, I am. I think I'm better. I'm better than a lot of writers at the little sketchy face game. I do a little Dalek that's mostly sort of lines and dots. And And that's kind of my go-to if I've only got like 10 seconds to do a little something, then that'll be it.
Fair enough. I mean, what are you predominantly missing from the convention circuit this year? Is it the interaction with fellow creators? Is it just meeting people?
I mean, it's all of the above. There are so many little facets that you don't realize you miss until they're gone. Certainly, it's been a convention floor hot dog. You don't really get those at British cons, but you get them a lot in the States. Karaoke, another thing from American conventions. A long flight. I was trying to sort of wean myself off them. If you were talking to me in 2019, I was saying things like, "Oh, next year I'm gonna stop doing as many long flights." Boy, if only I'd known. The monkey's paw curled. But yeah, no, I do miss long flights. I do enjoy being on a plane. I know it's not, it's like eating beef. I'm trying to kind of cut down for, environmental reasons, but like if that wasn't a factor, I'd really enjoy long flights, just to do them. But it is a factor, so I can't. Okay. But in terms of, karaoke is a big one. Late night karaoke, there are so many comic creators who like doing that. Every con in America, we kind of, at some point, we'll all be, at the bar and we'll sort of start talking about it, and then a plan of action will be formed and it'll become a late night karaoke session. It's pretty much every con at this point. In Britain... Yeah, no, in Britain, I like going for meals with convention people. That's always a good time.
Cool. I think most people who know the show know that I'm a mobile DJ by trade. So yes. I've supplied the PA at Thought Bubble, and the intention was for 2020 to supply the gear for the mid-con party, and also on the Friday do a karaoke night, and actually I had Joe Glass was going, yeah, I'm down for that. Everyone just felt like, everyone was just geared up for it. And then I don't know, the year happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm crossing fingers that the vaccine rollout will be everything that we hope it is. But I would love to do karaoke again. Obviously, belting your lungs out in a crowded room is no longer, or a sealed booth is no longer, no longer on the table until we've all had our shots. So I'm just, waiting for the day.
What are your 3 go-to tunes when it comes to karaoke?
I love. I do a pretty good Meatloaf. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Recently I've been getting into Johnny Remember Me by John Layton, and I've got a kind of go-to that's I'll do Rocket Man, but I'll do it in the style of William Shatner. And that's a kind of fun thing, but it's losing its place because it's like, it's sort of good for rooms where everybody's still warming up as a kind of icebreaker. I think most rooms I'm in these days, people come already warmed up, so it's sort of, nobody wants to sort of like, people just want to belt it out. Yeah. I did a lot in Fever by Peggy Lee. Turns out that's a real. No, I can do a thing with my voice that works really well for that.
Nice. I think the last karaoke I did was San Diego, and unfortunately I decided to pull out my go-to karaoke track, which is Rapper's Delight from Sugar Hill. Yeah. Except I did it when I was about. Yeah, it's okay, and I'm pretty good at it. But I was 7 pints down, and things got a bit messy at the back end. It got a little bit dicey. It got a bit dicey.
I have a very similar relationship to Ebenezer Good by the Shaman. And in that I've never been to a karaoke place where that's synced up. In that the lyrics that come up on the screen are always like a second behind what you should be singing. So you've got to know it. B, you can't be distracted by the actual words on the screen, and it's a hard rap to learn, because it goes along at a clip. And
yeah,
God, that line about being mysterious and devious is just really impossible to like get around.
that's where you have a couple of pints just to kind of
loosen
the inhibitions to have a crack at it. But at least, I mean, the one thing we did get to enjoy this year was you still DJing at the Thought party in some kind of strange Spotify virtual space.
Yeah, we wanted to do it all on Twitch with like actual DJ programs and like mix everything in together. But it was Twitch has made some decisions about copyright and its relationship to copyright, and that meant that it turns out we can't play several hours of copyrighted music on that. So it became a thing where like we had an updating Spotify playlist, and everybody was sort of listening to their own Spotify and kind of keeping up as best they could. And it really worked out.
It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch.
It really worked out. It really kind of brought people together. It was sort of it was a really good night. So I was very, very happy to be part of it, to kind of sort of pop on the decks, one last time for Thought Bubble. I think we have, those were some extraordinary circumstances. We have now retired from that convention. At least I'll still go on the decks for like special occasions, in other conventions. Never say never. And weddings. I'll do weddings.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of people are jumping. Oh, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's never been easier with the new technology. It's never been easy to DJ.
Yeah. Got a couple of people jumping in on the old comments. Mark Abnett's joining us, a good friend of everybody. Pearl Jam Black, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Danny California, Tenacious D tribute are my go-to pending rum levels.
No,
Tenacious D tribute, you've got to do at the end. It's a showstopper.
You've got to build up to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Into the Blue Mist tried Pearls a singer on karaoke once, never again. That'll do some damage if you come at it wrong. That's a tough one. But everyone else is joining as well. Johnny Fitz is joining. Hello to the awesome Al Ewing.
Hello.
Family who work. Great job, sir.
Thank you very much.
So there we go. Right. Something that I've kind of been getting into about Comic-Cons is that thought how conventions are going to change. I mean, there's always that idea that conventions evolve with challenges. So, when, for example, Repop merged with MCM, there was the idea that it would sort the wheat from the chaff. Things would evolve, and fandoms and conventions evolve. But from post 2020, how do you think they are going to grow and develop post 2020? And what do you think they could do better? What could they have learned? What can they learn from this situation?
I mean, I feel like there's sort of two streams to this question, and that there's the response to the current situation and also the directions conventions were going in anyway. Response to the current situation, I feel like maximum attendance is going to kind of sort of go down. Aisles are going to get bigger. Space between tables is going to get bigger. There's just going to be more room, even once we've all had our shots and we're all sort of vaccinated. And I feel like that's kind of more of a given, possibly in this country and in Europe than maybe overseas, in America. But hopefully everybody gets on board. But I mean, even then, I feel like people out in public are going to be wanting to wear a mask just for the safety of it for a while, wanting to kind of, big crowds. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I'm saying this, but I'm also, I'm seeing the sort of pictures and the videos online of people getting together in giant crowds, right in the middle of it. So, I could be completely wrong, but I suspect conventions are at least going to sort of step in that direction, better aisles, more. Maybe even I was talking to, there's a convention in Mexico that would very much like me to attend, and I've been playing it very coy because I think I think traveling from this country, it's more about feeling like I could give it than I could get it. But like, from the sound of it, they've been doing some great stuff in terms of like preparations with like thinking about, screens and flow of traffic and sort of similar things to what supermarkets have been doing. So I think we're gonna be heading in that direction. I think in terms of like the more general trends, something I've noticed over the past like 10 years or so is harassment policies have been getting better and more thorough. So more of that trend happening, especially now that there's sort of been a pause. It's an opportunity for conventions to sort of like think out their policies, think out like making everybody kind of safer and have a better time. In terms of like panels and stuff, general sort of better balancing of panels, better kind of a little more thought into that. And again, these are all things that conventions are already doing and already putting their minds to. And it's just a sort of it's a progression, and I feel like the break from cons is maybe an opportunity to sort of take stock and sort of make the jump forward in terms of things like that. I mean, I'm not, so I'm thinking in terms of like both those kind of streams of thought, but definitely what I'd kind of expect coming back is and again, this is, speaking of progression, this is something I noticed between 2018 New York and I think 2019 New York was aisle width. Like, 2018 New York, I felt like there was more of, I mean, I might be actually thinking, God, it's been so long since I've even been at a con. I might be like comparing it to like, I might be comparing like New York and Chicago, or Chicago and like a European convention. But it's like, I do feel like aisle space has been getting wider, and it's been more recognized. And partly is that progression, that other kind of progression I was thinking earlier, and that like you've got to think of your sort of disabled clientele and like people who don't want to be in like a giant crushing crowd, who like have like really good reasons not to be in that space or in that lack of space. And like, but now with with COVID and everybody much more conscious of distance, I know like I'm probably going to be antsy about getting close to people for a while, even post-vaccine. I'm probably going to be like, because even if it's just and I think conventions are probably going to bear that in mind. I'd have thought, just even if it's just because like the people organizing them feeling that way, and sort of I mean, who knows, there might be a convention somewhere in the middle of like who knows where, like some deep swampy state. I don't know.
They're still trying to organize ones.
I don't know my American states. I don't know like what like the craziest ones are, but like some sort of super deep virus is a hoax state, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody organizing, yeah, we're going to have it in a shoebox to own the libs. But, like, you know, I suspect it's going to be erring on the side of caution and, you know, a lot more space, less stuff in the space, more space to kind of keep a level of distance, you know. I think that's going to become the new staying apart is going to be the new getting together.
I mean, for myself, I mean, just to say as well, I mean, you say you don't know American states. Don't worry, neither does Trump's legal team. So you're perfectly fine on that regard. So that's fine.
Yep.
For myself, and do jump in with your thoughts on these, because my three things which I feel are going to change, or we're going to see at conventions, we're not going to see as many legacy creators. I think creators of a certain age are just going to be a little bit like, they're going to be a bit weary about going into a room full of people they don't know where, they don't know the lay of the land. That's number one. Number two, we kind of started seeing this with Repop and with the New York Comic Con. They started doing this a lot, and they were on the edge of just getting it right, which is using mobile devices to kind of monitor where people were going and get a sense of it, because they were using them for kind of install the app and you can get a gift, or you can do a treasure hunt or something. But then if you have the app installed, then people can get, the organizers can get a sense of where people are in the building and get a sense of what's going on. I think that could be, that could be happening. And for number three, it's the pairing into the virtual convention. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of people on screens at panels taking part, perhaps. Because people are starting to get their head around the whole the video conferencing thing now.
I mean, that could kind of change the game in terms of panels. If, like, you know, you're sitting down, you've got your mic in front of you, you've got a little camera in front of you as well, and it's like, because that was just occurring to me that, like, you know, when you said about, like, older guests, that thing of, like, everything we associate with cons, it's not just the crowds on the floor. It's like going into a room with like 500 people in it and the doors are closed and you're projecting, you know.
Yeah.
I can see less people wanting to be in that room, but less people having to be in that room. Like, you know, you could fit, like, you just have like 50 people who want the special, like, and everybody else kind of watching on their screen while walking the floor, while kind of, you know, outside the building in the fresh air. I mean, it could be that I've just been thinking way too small about the evolution of conventions. And, like, once you bring in screens, you could really, and phones, you could really kind of, just change the whole nature of a panel.
Yeah. Although I am thinking back to my first ever convention panel where I hosted the panel. My first ever one was San Diego Comic-Con. That's how you start. And I did a British Invasion panel. Yeah. So we had David Lloyd on stage, we had Paul Levitt on stage, Levitt's on stage, we had Kieran Gillen on stage, and we were going to be having Dave Gibbons and Paul Jenkins up on Skype on the screen, and two minutes before the panel started, the internet crapped out completely. So there's that. I think people are going to work out better internet connections and make it work. Mark Abnett's joining in and saying virtual cons do need to step up and actually have a virtual element. If each stall holder could set up at home and be live all day on YouTube or accessible online, it would be a good start. I think that's for virtual cons, yes, because they need to. That's one of the tiers of things they need to get right, because they need to make that connection again, so people can sell stuff and actually make that.
Yeah, I think all day is a big ask, but, like, I mean, it's a big ask physically, but sort of. I can see it happening. I can see it being quite tough. I kind of my partner is a sort of small press stall holding kind of person, and yeah, kind of. I was sort of kind of. I had a front row seat for that aspect of the Thought Bubble Virtual Con, and kind of like, okay, oh, how's this working? And then I did my sort of DJ thing, and and I've done panels, I've done virtual panels for things like the Baltimore Con and sort of virtual spot, and it's very similar to what we're doing now. It's down to the StreamYards. It's kind of but I mean,
the interaction. I think it's the interaction they need to get right.
Yeah, the idea of being in front of a camera all day, it's I feel like there's something about that's like different from being behind a table all day. And I'm not quite sure how I put it into words, but something about sort of you kind of travel to a con and you sort of you're leaving your home, you're going away, you've got it into your head that it's like a work weekend. You do set up times. I've been getting much better about this through the years of basically like less so at places like Oldham. I'm much more comfortable just being behind my table like the whole day there. But like definitely at New York, I'll kind of go, okay, I'm going to be here for a couple of hours and I'm going away, and then I'm going to be here for another couple of hours in the afternoon. But like, I mean, last New York, all Saturday I was gone, and I put up on my table like, I'm sorry, today I've got like 3 panels and like another thing and a meeting, so I'm not going to be here today, but I will see you Sunday. And it's whereas I feel like there's something different when you're sort of in your home, and like, I mean, if nothing else, I couldn't sit with my laptop on my knee like all day. I mean, I kind of do for my work, but it's like I put it down and I get up and I go to the toilet and things like that. I don't know. There's something a little bit different when about the idea of a camera watching you in your home all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's definitely something in that. In that, like you could go a little further into that territory for a virtual con, but I think it's definitely something to kind of. There's a happy medium, but yeah.
Well, the thing I suggested for Mainframe, because we had the organisers on just before they did Baltimore, and I said it was an idea that popped into my head while we were actually on the stream. Yeah. So it was completely my fault for actually saying it out loud, which was basically have another coincidental stream alongside the live streams that were happening. As almost like a QVC, sort of like home selling stream, where you then invited creatives on for 10-15 minutes to showcase their bits and pieces, showcase their website, talk to them, so there's an actual dialogue and people can interact and ask questions and whatever, and then just rotate the talent throughout the course of the day. Oh, at which point they turned around and said, great, we'll send you the gold lame suit and you can do it. And I went, I'll hold off on that, but yeah, that's
yeah, you do you do need hosts, but people can work in shifts. It's a good idea. It's on. There's something about the visual element as well of like kind of talking into a camera and like I'm not used to like seeing my own face for this long. I keep trying to get my hair to work, and it's like, but it's like. On a podcast, if I'm just sort of talking like I'm on the phone, I can go for like a couple of hours. So I should be, if I budget the time, I should be able to do the same thing on a video.
You'd think, yeah.
You'd think, but it's not. I don't know.
In practice, that's the thing.
Yeah, there's these subtle little differences that make it tricky.
Yeah. So when it comes to the virtual conventions, then I mean, considering that I think that you've been then on one of the better ones that have managed to get certainly the interactivity with the audience right, which is Mainframe and with Baltimore Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you feel conventions have got right, and what do you think they've got wrong? And not just for the fans either, but also as a creator, as somebody who is in terms of actually getting the word out about a project or something. Is it something that the virtual conventions are getting right? What do you think they're getting?
I mean, it's a little kind of hard to because I don't feel like I've done the whole convention experience virtually. I think definitely Mark had a point in terms of like making it virtually more like the real thing. You know, I could do a thing where I was sort of just available for a couple of hours to anyone who sort of rang in. That would be a form of a panel. I don't know how much I'd enjoy, but it'd definitely be a form of a panel. I've mostly done these spotlight panels though, which are basically sort of, again, not super different from podcasts. Because I've done, you know, before all this, you know, I did a lot of podcasts. I did a couple of like video podcasts where, you know, it's recorded and it goes up on the YouTube. But what I haven't done for a virtual convention yet is an actual panel, which I guess would be like a Zoom call.
Right.
And it'd be like, you know, the moderator would be there and then there'd be sort of four of us all trying to get a word in edgeways. And it's like, I kind of feel like that would go like a normal panel, in the same sort of waiting our turn, you know.
I produced a couple for Thought Bubble because I was approached. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. No, well, here we go. Here's an example. I've interrupted you.
No. Well, I mean, I did one for Rom, which was a writer's workshop, which ended up being 2.5 hours, which he got into it, and then I got approached by a creator, an artist, and basically I produced 2 of her panels and then hosted a third. So I was the kind of moderator and did the whole the panel host bit, but then the other 2 I kind of was directing camera and sort of like making people full screened and moving things around, putting graphics up and whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's some panels that are doing that and kind of replicating the 6 people up on a table thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I've done a lot of Zoom meetings now, and they're kind of. I feel like a panel would be easier because there'd be less people.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know. It's hard to kind of think of anywhere where there's room for improvement. That isn't that stuff Mark was talking about trying to get a little closer to the kind of the non-virtual thing. And I mean, there's things like that. Your QVC suggestion. That's a good idea. That's like a smart.
I've said it out loud now. That's the thing. I've said it out loud.
No, because I'm thinking of like, because right now we've got a thing where like there are these sort of virtual stores that are basically sort of web pages, and it's like driving people to those. People to those. There needs to be a way to do that, but at the same time, the people running the stores, you know, like on the day you could have a thing where they're sort of sitting in front of their camera on their own YouTube writing, but that just feels sort of because the difference between a virtual con and a real world con is that in the real world there's a limit to the number of people you can have in the building, and very, very few people. It's almost like a truism thing where, like, you know, you get a lot of stick online, but when people talk to you in the real world, even if they disagree completely, they're really nice to you. For the most part, you know, barring nut jobs, weirdos, and creeps. But you know, 99, like 9 times out of 10, people are just really, really pleasant in the real world, even if they wouldn't be online. But virtual conventions are just all online, so it's like I'm slightly kind of like not 100% about sort of subjecting people to like the wild west of the internet, like like a convention where you've thrown open the doors to the entire planet. Because we had some trolls in. We had a couple of trolls in on the DJing thing. We had like a couple of people kind of very quickly seeing a way to abuse the system. And we sort of locked it down and closed them out. But like, you know, not before some dong was hung. to use the vernacular. You know, there was, and it was kind of, so yeah. There's that kind of whole, and the QVC thing. It feels like that adds a layer of sort of organization to it, a layer of kind of like a way to sort of drive people to the things without sort of people having to sort of get up and like hawk their wares. If you've got like a dedicated kind of professional moderator doing that,
oh, easy, Tiger. Let's
like,
not go that far.
Moderators in shifts, but yeah, you know, the gold lame suit. If you've got somebody, you know, in the gold lame suit and like in shifts, and you know, just like people doing it for a couple of hours, swapping out, you know, 6 people could cover a day.
I'm actually up for doing a 12-hour thing. If anything, I'd do it for charity. And not only that, but I think a lot of people would like to see me crash and burn. I think a couple of people may remember I did Portsmouth Comic Con. I was panel hosting that particular weekend. We did a whole bunch of stuff that particular thing. And then we kind of got to the end of the Sunday as well. And I ended up doing my Sunday show. And I believe I actually fell asleep on camera. I seem to remember that happening. And people did point that out. So, yeah, it can be done. A bit of Red Bull and you're sorted.
I did get myself a Twitch account, so I could be kind of part of the DJing thing on the Twitch stream. So I do have a Twitch account now, and you know, I could, if I wanted to, use that for a charitable purpose. There's a thing. This guy I watch the YouTube videos of sometimes, H Bomber guy. He did this thing where he was playing like Donkey Kong. I think it's Donkey Kong Country. It's like N64 Donkey Kong. Yeah. It's the one where you've got to collect all the bananas. And he was doing like, and it's like famously terrible in terms of like to get 100%. They make you work for it. They just make you like, it's not like Super Mario Odyssey where like, oh, it's all right, you can collect like some of the moons. That's fine. We'll let you have the end. You don't have to collect every single. No. On this game, you've got to collect like every single like bauble, and it's all supremely kind of. But he sort of did this thing for charity, and it sort of took like it took days. And that is, you know, that's the kind of thing that like in the back of my head, it's like one day I won't be working on as many comics. And I'll have time to do something really stupid.
What are the odds, Al?
I mean, it's eventually, people are going to get sick of me. You know, the wheel of fortune turns. In comics, the wheel of fortune always turns. Eventually, people are going to get sick of me. You know, the new hotness will come along. I'll be showing the door. I'll walk off into the sunset. And you'll see a lot more of me. You'll see a lot more of me doing stupid video game stuff on Twitch. That'll be my next career. It's like just like an old man playing video games on Twitch.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, to kind of fall into that, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I mean,
considering that what you've got on your plate at the moment, which is pretty damn impressive.
I mean, you know, I'm very happy with the amount of work that I have and the work that I'm doing. And I'm very glad of it. And a big thanks to everyone who's picking up my stuff. But, you know, memento mori, you too must die. It's like eventually, you know, I'm going to be sort of, yeah, you know, coming back for the occasional Hulk mini series and sort of, you know, eventually my time will be done. And that's just the way it is. And that's when I'm going to play a lot of video games. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, for myself, I mean, I'm hoping it's not going to happen anytime soon. Like I say, what you've been doing and what's been coming out for the last couple of years has just been top shelf, mind blowing. I mean, we'll start with the big event of the year. We'll go with it. Talk with Empire. This was the event series for Marvel, the crossover Avengers versus Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Now that the series is complete, I mean, thoughts on now it's all done. I mean, do you feel that you stuck the landing on what you wanted to achieve when you first started? How well do you feel it came off?
I feel like I did. I think it's sort of there were people who liked it and there were people who didn't, as with everything. I feel like I did what I wanted to do in that I mean, from my side of it, I feel like I gave Wiccan and Hulkling a big spotlight and a big boost, which was kind of part of what I going in, thinking like after like the initial emails when we sort of decided what the story was going to be, like going in kind of knowing like, okay, we're going to do some big stuff with the Kree and the Skrulls. Going in, my thing was like, okay, this is a chance to really sort of bring Hulkling back to the main stage, really elevate that character, bring, Wiccan along as well. Obviously, they're very much a duo. And kind of get that front and center. And, it did become like the golden opportunity to like finally have that wedding that, Marvel Comics has been promising for like
decades.
Yeah. And, they're marrying young, but high school sweethearts, it happens. They're like 20, 22 at this point. It's fine. People get married at that age.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, obviously it does call into attention the entire, don't look too closely at the wobbling Marvel aging thing. Don't ask how old Cyclops is. Don't do that. I've got a very clear idea of how old Bruce Banner is, and he's 38. But this is a thing I can sort of say out of continuity. And it's like, everybody at Marvel's going to have a different idea, a different number for that. There are people going, no, I think you mean 28. And it's like, okay.
I mean, I think when it came to Wiccan and Hulkling, I mean, the response was
staggering.
From I thought it was just incredible. I thought it was just so positive. I think it was great. Must have been so inspiring.
It was great that kind of, because people were a little bit iffy about us, because I kind of I wanted to do like a nice cliffhanger, like I wanted a thing where it's like you have to read the next issue, but like not because you're afraid, but because you're looking forward to it. So that was kind of why we sort of staggered out the Vegas wedding the way we did, or the way I did. And then I was thinking, and this way we can have, because we were like, what if they're already married, was like a suggestion that came up in the room back when we still had physical writing rooms. And that was, I think that was Joe Quesada who came up with that one. And I was like, oh, then we can have two weddings. So we kind of got the beat like in the series itself, and then we got like the big gathering in the aftermath issue. And like so yeah, I think by the end, people's sort of fears had been quelled a little bit. Because also there were so many people going, they're going to kill them. They're going to kill them off. They're going to kill somebody off. And it's just like, on the one hand, that's kind of, you can say that's cynical, but on it comes from a very legitimate fear with big crossovers. And, it kind of, but in addition, I kind of wanted to do a sort of a story of like political intrigue. And I think there were kind of people who enjoyed that part of it and sort of really enjoyed the kind of, space Game of Thrones sort of aspect to it, where you had like all of these alien sort of, plotting in the corridor and sort of, turns out I'm the royal grandma. And it's like, that was a moment when I realized that, because I was like, let's have like Tanalth be like secretly. I think that was in like the writing room we did for it. That was like Tanith, let's have her secretly be a Skrull Empress, and like pick one. And it was like, oh, let's pick this, and it turns out, yeah, let's pick the one that's. And I didn't find out until like we were just starting to write the thing. That's Teddy's grandma. Of course it is, and it's like, well, wow, that's a thing. So yeah, and all of that just added to this. So in terms of, I feel like there's enough people who liked it, and that I feel like it was a success, and it did well for comic shops, like as they kind of came back into the distribution schedules, as Diamond started shipping books again. It sort of did the job it was meant to do, and did the job it needed to do, which was sort of give people something nice to get people in the shops, where hopefully they are wearing masks and social distancing. But like, yeah, so I'm happy with it. I'm happy with how it came out, and it also gave me a starting point for a lot of plots in Guardians and the new Sword book. There's obviously that Aftermath book. I thought it needed a cliffhanger. There were a few people who were like, "Oh, why couldn't we just end on the nice thing?" And yeah. Now that you've said that, I could have been pleasant, but no, I decided to be cruel and wicked and sort of. But that was in aid of like, it was both the sort of, oh, there's bad stuff in the future, but also it was like there are going to be Hulkling stories in the future.
Yeah,
because the other legitimate fear is like, okay, now he's had his big moment, we're going to pop him up on the shelf, the alien shelf. And it's like, I wanted to kind of say to people, no, he's going to have big stories in the future. He's going to have big stories in the future, and that is unfortunately the nature of superhero drama. Means that's going to involve some pain. He's gonna get hit in the face.
Fair enough.
But that's coming up in a future issue of the Sword book. I could even at this point tell you which future issue, but I won't.
Okay.
So
we've got Mark Avenett saying he's talking about a whole bunch of the other books, which we'll get into. But any hints or insight to Sword or Kid Cable's involvement?
Yeah, the Kid Cable of it all is going to become important as we go. He plays a big role in the first trade of Sword, in the kind of it's going to be kind of interesting, that first trade of Sword, because we're sort of starting with a big #1 issue, and then we're going into King in Black, and that's kind of, we're taking that very much from the perspective of like, Sword deals with alien threats. This is the biggest alien threat going right now.
Yeah,
it's like we can't not talk about it, and if we're going to talk about it, yeah, let's shove the little Nabisco corner up. Let's kind of let's do the whole business. But at the same time, we're kind of the solicit just dropped for issue 3, which is basically saying, yeah, this is a King in Black tie-in. It's also an issue of Sword. There's a load of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, but as part of the sort of King in Black of it all, Kid Cable has a big role to play in that. He's got like, there's stuff once we're past that and into kind of, because like I'm thinking about, we've got to plan pretty far ahead in the X office.
Yeah, I can imagine.
While at the same time, being able to sort of roll with the punches. But we do plan pretty far ahead, and so I'm thinking about, what Kid Cable gets up to in like the second trade, and that's again, there's big things for him. I'm kind of taking I'm taking Jerry's lead, and taking sort of, it's a very close knit office. We do a lot. We have a lot of meetings. We do a lot of chatting. We're kind of in each other's pockets to a certain extent, in a good way, and it's really good to kind of have that level of connective tissue in a line. And obviously I'm doing the thing of like Sword is kind of the hub of a lot of things, and that it's kind of like it's where space connects to the X universe. So it's looking in a lot of directions at once. And yeah, that's gonna come in. I'm trying to balance the sort of the space of it and the mutants of it. But I've got there's big things planned on the mutant end, there's big things planned on the space end. I'm kind of, I'm looking in both those directions, and I'm sort of, and then obviously space, to come back to King in Black, space reflects the Marvel universe. Decisions other writers make about, obviously I'm kind of coordinating all of these alien empires and how they interact and intersect, and the whole Game of Thrones of that. But like, if the God of the Void wants to do crazy stuff with symbiotes on Earth, that's, I'm not going to ignore that. I'm going to take a big bite out of it, and that's what Sword is doing. And also, we have an issue of Guardians where we take a big bite out of the Venom, the whole Venom thing.
Oh wow!
So yeah, no, that's issue 10. That's going to be in a couple of months. And it also, issue 9 is the return of Star-Lord. So yeah, by issue 10, we'll see what Star-Lord is up to. We'll see how his absence has affected him, and we will see what he does when he's up against some Venoms. So yeah, but I mean, I'm the nice thing about this crossover to tie into is that they're space aliens, and I write the space books, so it's like, yeah, it really is just another day at the office for my guys. They don't have to go out of their way to tie into King in Black. They don't have to be like, it's not like with the Hulk, I have to think, okay, well, what's he doing that brings him into? How does this Venn diagram intersect? And it turns out that it intersects with a heartwarming Christmas story that's also one of the most experimental issues we've done. We're doing it without words.
Whoa. Okay.
It's basically, I went in thinking like, okay, let's make this a sort of Christmas narrative. What about a wordless issue? I kind of did it as a wordless. I sort of plotted it as a wordless issue and went like, okay, we're probably not going to have much dialogue in this. And, and I was like laying it out and sort of saying to Aaron, yeah. And Aaron Kuda has come back with some of the best storytelling. It's just magnificent. And it was like, I was thinking like, okay, should I add words to this? And you kind of like, there's a bit of fear involved, because it's like, our reader's gonna like it.
You've set your stall out. You might as well.
Yeah. The reader's gonna like it. But it was like, no, I've got to commit. I've got to commit to the bit. And it's like, the art deserves that level of commitment. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be experimental. It's gonna be a thing where you really got to pour over the beautiful artwork, even more than usual on the Hulk. And we have Joe Bennett, so I would hope you are doing a lot of pouring. But like, we're kind of forcing you to this time, because you got to like take it all in. Because I'm not providing words. And
Well, I
yeah,
mean, if there's one thing that's come out of Empire, it's we have seen not only established writers and artists doing some incredible work, but also some real new talent being able to play in the fringes. And I mean, for myself, I didn't let myself down when it came to Empire, because I did stick to the core title and kind of disappeared a little bit into one or two of the tie-ins, because there was a lot of tie-ins for Empire. But I think the joy of that was it really did. It was a spider web that went into all sorts of different corners, and it allowed a lot of real creative juices to flow from some amazing talents. What were the highlights for yourself when it came to the tie-ins?
Well, I'm gonna combine this with a plug, because I think it just dropped last Wednesday, the trades paperback of Lords of Empire, which were like the big sort of tie-in specials.
That's the ones I picked up.
Yep, there's some great ones. There's the Hulkling one, the Celestial Messiah one. I was forgetting his formal title there, and the Swordsman one. And they're all like, so these were some great ones. There were some sort of rollicking kind of superhero things. Those ones got really kind of deep into like character drama. So like that's kind of that's
your wheelhouse.
That is my meat. But like Anthony Oliveira did like amazing Alex Packnadell, again, like brilliant work. Obviously, all of the artists who I should have looked up before answering this question, but I didn't. But like in terms of I'm a bit sorry for the times we didn't get to see. I kind of made a command decision to sort of carry on, because by the time I knew that we definitely weren't going to be seeing some of the tie-ins, issue 2, which was our like break up the band, and then sort of the idea was like the big 3 will sort of go to their separate places, and we'll kind of keep hold of Iron Man, but we'll sort of take him out of the armor and kind of put him in. And like the idea was to sort of give the FF a little more, well, give the non-Reed Richards FF a little more space to shine, give the other Avengers, give, Black Panther, Captain Marvel a little more kind of, a little more room. But
I've got
also,
a cracking idea. I've actually got artwork. Let's put some artwork.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Because I mean, like I say, I've drawn from the core titles for the artwork, but I mean, it's like you were saying. I mean, there's some. Yeah, go for it. Keep going.
No, I will say I have rarely been happier than when we were talking about like Sword and Jordan and Alice, the editors in that book, basically dropped me an email saying, listen, we're going to get Valerio and Mate in for that. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful. We get to keep working together. And Valerio was into it as well, which, Empire was a tough row to hoe. In contrast, Sword is much more kind of like a more relaxed, like Sword. I mean, Empire was like the deep end for a working partnership. And like, working together on Sword, it's really chill in comparison. But, to have like an artist and a color artist do an event with you and still want to work with you, that's like, that's a wonderful thing. So I'm very grateful to have those guys still on board. And we're going to be some wonderful comics coming out. Issue 1 of Sword went to press very recently. It's a thing of beauty. I'm very much plugging it right now. It's absolutely, and it's full of this kind of thing. But And it was great. It was good writing The Thing. I was very happy to write The Thing. If out of all of the characters I got to write in Empire, I think getting to sort of really get my teeth into Ben Grimm, and he's coming up in the next issue of Immortal Hulk as readers of this issue.
We've got a little bit of a tease for that in a bit.
Oh,
I mean, when it comes to the characters that you really love to dive into, it is those big characters that make a big impression when they put their foot down, but there's so much going on underneath, and that's obviously definitely reflected in what you were doing with The Thing on Empire, but also, like I say, what you were doing with the rest of the cast was just incredible. And the reason why I decided to bring up the artwork is when you were talking about the characters that you instead of say the Iron Man, you wanted to kind of step into the other characters' shoes and really kind of stretch their legs and do what you did with Empire. Carry on.
No, I kind of feel like I wanted to give everybody a moment, and like, you know, the characters that I really like are kind of. I mean, I'm a big fan of Iron Man, but I like him as a mess. So, you know, if I get a chance to write him for a spell, I'm probably going to write Messy Tony. And like, I'm writing Thor. I always, when I'm not sort of taking him out of the action early, because there are people who are still annoyed with me for breaking his skull that time.
Yeah, well,
but you know, people treat that as a one shot. It wasn't a one punch. It was the last punch. You know, there was a whole big fight that happened before that issue even started. You know, take that as canon. We just cut to the chase. But I was very aware that, you know, I needed to do right by Thor, so I tried to give him a couple of like nice big chewy epic moments. The original plan was to have him go off in his own tie-in and kind of, and I sort of, rather than kind of, when I knew that wasn't happening, rather than sort of excise Thor's big climactic moment where he kind of comes back to the action, having sort of earned the power of Gaia, I decided to kind of keep that in anyway, and partly that was because I thought, you know, I wanted to be sort of nice to the Thor fans and kind of do a nice thing with Thor, give him a nice moment. But I mean, that was like 2 pages that we could have used. And I don't know, there's still part of me to this day that's like, there was another way to play that where he sort of, you know, came back in the background with the other Avengers, and we kind of spent.
I don't think you can do that with Thor. He needs the big moment. He's such a big ego, and he's such a big character.
I'm glad to hear you confirm that I made the right decision, because like I do second guess myself on a lot of this stuff. I do look at the old comics and go like, yeah, maybe if I'd done that instead, you know. But that was a good beat for Thor. I've probably got another like 5 minutes or so. I've probably got till about 25 past, and then I've got to tap out.
Right, okay. In that case, we'll make it real quick. No.
Sorry, I should have said something about that earlier.
We were talking before we came on. Basically, when it comes to my interviews, it is a case of the guest tapping out. But I'll tell you what. Then this is really annoying. That I wanted to get into Immortal Hulk because there's plenty of that we could get into. But I definitely want to talk about a book which Mark Abnett is talking about with his when he put up his question. We also talked about this before we came on air. How you refer to the actual book. We only find them when they're dead.
When I'm typing, it's Waftwood. It's, you know, Waftwood. But like, that's, you know, in emails and in like on tweets, you know, whatever, I'll sort of I just do the 7 letters. In conversation, I'll either say the whole thing, and because it's just a couple of we only find them when they're dead. It's just a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Or if I'm sort of being casual about it, I guess I'll shorten it to like where you find them. I was thinking about like a hashtag, what a hashtag would be, and it's like, yeah, just the 7 letters, But there was a period when I was like thinking, oh, I could have my own Wikdiv when dead, but like, no,
Fair enough. Why now for a creator-owned story, and especially this particular? Why scratch this particular itch?
I mean, the idea, I've been lugging the idea around for a few years. Like, I want to say about 4 years. I'm trying to, because I definitely had a word with an artist about it who couldn't do it. In like at a thought bubble. But really, it was Boom kind of expressed an interest in doing a creator-owned thing with me, and like I wanted to kind of I wanted to do a sort of creator-owned thing with them to sort of take the Boom deal for a spin, and but what kind of swung it was I've been having some difficulty getting an artist on this. And they kind of had they sort of had Simone on speed dial, and I'd already worked with him on that Hulk special, and they were able to sort of do him in advance, and do me in advance, which meant that sort of made it a lot easier. It just generally made it very easy to sort of get this going, and there was a very long period of lead time, which I ate most of.
I was going to ask how long this, because this is, I mean, it's a book which is.
It's been in the works. I'm not going
to say it's taking its time, but it's making sure that everything is in place. It's building a really secure foundation for it before it launches literally into light speed.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how long it took for you to get all the cogs in gear in place for this.
I mean, it took a while. It's been at a different pace to my regular schedule. At first, it was close to like writing a novel, and I was kind of doing a lot of talking with Simone, who at the time had stuff like Power Rangers and Champions and things of that nature. So he was doing work, but this was stuff he was sort of doing on the side, was like the design and the kind of planning and back and forths about like how the world worked. But basically, what it ended up. I've got to be a little careful here because there's stuff coming up I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
But it's quite an experimental book in a lot of ways, in that it's sort of I've really gone into it as like I've said that it's going to be 15 issues and 3 trades, and then after that I co-own it with Simone, so I've given him like full permission to like spin it off and do more stories in that world if he wants to, with other writers, or I might come back, or I might not. I'll see how I feel, and that is a wonderful freedom that you have with creator-owned stuff, is that you can stop. But like, I'm very much planning it in terms of those 3 books, and when we end issue 5, it'll become extremely apparent what I'm talking about. But basically, and also I guess, solicits because we're going to do 5 issues and a break to sort of catch up with ourselves, and 5 issues and a break, and then 5 issues, and then it'll be done. And then, like I say, Simone has like 50% and permission for me to kind of do what he likes with the world, or and yeah, basically, yeah, this is so it's all the stuff like that with kind of creator owned. The sort of I'm kind of in a position where I can sort of do things. Yeah, I have a lot of freedom at Marvel, but there are certain things that come with a shared universe and being like a team player in a shared universe. There are certain things that I can't do, and I'm not talking about like, you know, some air pirate stuff where I like, you know, the mouse having sex. It's not that stuff. It's like basic sort of. I have to sort of abide by the boundaries of the shared universe. Whereas if I create my own universe, I don't have to. I can do anything.
The way I've been seeing it, it's been kind of like the work you do with Marvel and the work that you do when it's very much when you're spinning a lot of plates. It's the Cirque du Soleil, but it's the ensemble cast. Everyone's out into the center ring. Everyone's kind of throwing the batons to each other, and everyone's catching, and everyone's doing that magic act. But then every once in a while, it's one person in the middle with the center spotlight, and that's what, for me, this is what this book is. It's you shining to do.
Yeah, and it's me and Simone in our kind of respective, because he's the designer. He's the sort of. I'm kind of my relationship with him is very much sort of letting him play, sort of letting him lay things out, coming around back to it at the lettering draft stage, and sort of, and basically, and this is another nice thing we're working with Eric Harburn as our editor, and you know, he's very good with notes. He's very good at sort of dropping in the notes when we need the notes, because I'm extremely laissez-faire, and so, you know, it's good that we've got somebody to sort of, you know, keeping an eye on the pot. But at the same time, I do, you know, I'll sort of throw stuff out to Simone, and he'll sort of juggle it and then throw it back to me, and I'll be like very enamored by what he's done. And yeah, and that might have to be my last word, because I do kind of have to run.
Right. In that case, we'll say. I mean, no.
Sorry,
don't worry.
We can talk Hulk. We'll do it again.
The good thing is, we'll just have to get you back, and we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk more. I mean, certainly with Hulk. I mean, I've seen in interviews that you've got stuff planned all the way through 2021. So looking forward to seeing what you're doing with the book. I mean, for myself, I'm just really thrilled about the fact that. You started off with the horrors of self and id, but now you're getting into some real horror tropes of alien possession. Demonic possessions and visits to hell.
Yeah, cool. There's stuff coming that Joe Bennett, surprising nobody. Joe Bennett has outdone himself again. There is
shock horror surprise.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I'm blown away by We Only Find Them When They're Dead, because that's just astonishing book. Mark Abner is wanting to wrap things up. If anyone can make Fabian Cortez interesting, it's you. So that's one comment you want to say. And hang on, go on.
I was going to say, Fabian Cortez is a wonderful, wonderful character, and if we can't make him likable, we'll at least make his unlikableness very likable.
Fair enough. And he also says, I'm positive you don't need the help, but if you ever need some deep cut cable history plot points, I'm always happy to help. Good vibes, cough, immune to limbo magic. So, yeah, there you go. Possible partnership on the cards there. Terrific. I'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. So thank you so much indeed for doing this.
Wonderful to go live with you.
Yeah, well, number one, let's hope that we see each other IRL again somewhere down the line. And yeah, let's see if we can get you back, if anything.
Sure.
I'd certainly maybe in the beginning of the year, I'd like to talk when Immortal Hulk into 2021.
That would be a good time.
Yeah,
good time. January
and
is a good
also,
month.
like you say, we'll also have that first arc of Willow Dead. We'll have that. That's what I'm calling it. Willow
Yes.
Dead.
Yes, there we go.
The first arc of that done. I'm really curious to see how that's all going to pan out. Al,
Terrific.
It's been a pleasure. Take care, and thank you,
You
so
too.
much indeed for coming.
Talk to you later. All right.
Take care.
See ya.
Excellent stuff. If you haven't checked it out, do. We only find them when they're dead. It's out from Boom Studios. Everyone's firing on all cylinders, and it's really big stuff. Very, very impressive indeed. Do go check out that book, and of course, all the trades and all the stuff for Empire. If there's plenty of it, it's a hell of a meal. Do dive into as much of that as you possibly can. Thank you very much indeed to Al for joining us on the show. It's been a pleasure to have him. I do have somewhere that you can go to. Didn't ask him, but if you head to his Twitter, he's very forthcoming on just talking to people, interacting, and talking about his books. Al_Ewing on the old Twitters, and I believe it's the same as well for his Instagram as well. So there we go. Right, that has been our show. It's been a fun one. We kind of let Al just wander off, and we kind of ran out of time. It's the first time that's happened. So there we go. But we do have ourselves some guests that are coming up, which I'm really excited about sharing with you, because we have, first and foremost, we have ourselves a great guest this tomorrow, which is Mike Cecchini. I want to check how we're going to spell say his name. Mike Cecchini. We'll go with that. He's the editor-in-chief of Den of Geek. Heaven knows, I think there's literally only 2 films left from the tentpoles, which is Free Guy and Black Widow. We had the word this week about what Wonder Woman 84 is doing, going into cinemas and streaming on HBO Max. We're going to get into the landscape of fandom and the business of pop culture. If there's anybody who has an idea, a sense of that, it's somebody who writes about it and has a site about it. Den of Geek is well worth checking out. On Monday, we are going to be talking to the creative team, the writers of Jupiter Jet. Now, Jupiter Jet has got a new book, or the character is in a new book. And we're going to be talking to Jason Inman and Ashley Robinson. We've had Jason on the show before, but now we're going to have the pair of them coming on. It's going to be a slightly different time. For the Americans, it's going to be great. For the Brits, not so much. Are you ready? They're only available to join us at 4 p.m. Pacific. So that, I believe, is 4 p.m. Pacific, something like 7 or 8 Eastern, and midnight on Monday night. I'm still saying it's Monday on the listing there, but yeah, we're basically going to be having Jason and Ashley joining us, and I'm going to be setting up in the kitchen away from everybody, so I'm not waking everybody up else in the house. But we're going to be talking to them about Jupiter Jet. Really looking forward to talking to that one. Yet to have the confirmation about our Wednesday, 25th of November show, and we also have some possible changes going off about the White Noise Studios episode. It will be going ahead on the Sunday, but there's other stuff that could be happening. More to come. Keep an eye on my social media, certainly at the beginning of the week. Englishman SDCC, all the updates, but we'll be doing our best to get in White Noise Studios on. Again, with the 2nd of December, that's going to be the last of our lockdown Wednesdays. We're going to be doing a special episode, special guest to come. Keep your eye open for our announcement on that. Sunday, the 6th of December, we're missing a name there. It says Amanda Dibert, who's somebody who has done some great work on Wonder Woman recently. She's a fantastic comic writer and also just somebody really cool to follow online. Really engages with her fans. A fantastic interactive writer. But we're also going to be joined by Mark Serby as well on Sunday, the 6th of December. So that's going to be an interesting show. So that's all really good. Let's have a look at Danbury. Widow has already moved to May 2021. Rare. Okay. You're going to have to let me know when that happened, because I must have missed that. I've been very busy this week. I've been distracted. Give me a break. And Aaron Neighbors, nice. Love Ashlyn, Jason and Ashley. Yeah. Like I say, for the Americans in the audience, it's going to be ideal. It's going to be late evening, early afternoon, late evening. For me, not so much. Bit of a late night, but it's going to be fun. So there you go. That's our show. Take care. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We are back to our Sunday show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, for another Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. From myself to you guys for following along and watching, and to from Al Ewing as well, spending time with us talking about his books. From me to you, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully you'll join me tomorrow for Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.